Good evening, it's Tuesday the 21st of October and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Trade talks. Trump predicts fantastic China trade deal in upcoming meetings. Gaza truce. US delegation lands in Israel to help stabilize ongoing tensions. Art fandom. Fans flock to a museum after video recreates famous painting.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Selena Jayathilaka.
Good evening and thank you once again for joining us on World News Tonight on other Derana News Channel. President Trump said he expects a very strong trade deal with China when he meets Xi Jinping on the sidelines of next week's APEC summit in South Korea.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he expects Washington and Beijing to reach what he called a very strong trade deal during his upcoming meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea. The comments came Monday during a White House meeting with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, where Trump also highlighted recent fair trade agreements his administration has secured with South Korea and Japan.
We worked out a very fair trade deal. Japan, we worked out a very fair deal. South Korea, where I'll be meeting President Xi, we worked out a very fair deal. And I expect we'll probably work out a very fair deal with President Xi of China.
Trump reiterated that he plans to meet President Xi in a couple of weeks as South Korea prepares to host the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in the southeastern city of Gyeongju from October 31st to November 1st. The U.S. president is widely expected to make a state visit to Korea from October 29th to 30th, with the summit offering a key stage for renewed dialogue between the world's two largest economies amid mounting trade tensions. Those tensions have sharply intensified following Beijing's recent decision to tighten export controls on rare earth elements, materials that are essential to the production of advanced electronics, electric vehicles, and military hardware. In response, Trump sharply criticized China for what he described as an extraordinarily aggressive stance on trade, warning that unless progress is made, Washington will double down on punitive measures. Meanwhile, Trump and Australian Prime Minister Albanese signed a new agreement on rare earths and critical minerals on Monday. The deal aims to secure a reliable supply of these vital materials as China moves to tighten its control over global production and exports.
We are discussing critical minerals and rare earths, and we're going to be signing an agreement that's been negotiated over a period of 4 or 5 months.
The upcoming APEC summit now looms as a crucial test of whether the world's two largest economies can defuse another round of trade confrontation, or whether the latest wave of tariffs will deepen an already fragile global trade environment.
Sanae Takaichi was elected Japan's first female prime minister after winning 237 lower house votes, backed by a coalition with the right-wing Japan Innovation Party. A protege of Shinzo Abe who cites Margaret Thatcher as an influence, her government signals a conservative turn on security and immigration.
Takaichi secured the premiership by lining up support from the Japan Innovation Party, a deal that delivered the votes she needed but leaves her governing coalition short of a comfortable single-party majority, meaning she will rely on fragile cross-party cooperation to pass major bills. Long described as an ultra-conservative and an acolyte of the late Shinzo Abe, Takaichi has publicly praised Margaret Thatcher and signaled priorities including stronger defense, tougher immigration controls, and moves towards constitutional revision. Analysts say this marks a decisive rightward shift rather than a progressive turn on social issues. Her government inherits an economy facing rising pricing and a sensitive geopolitical environment, including friction over rare earths and ties with the US, and faces the practical test of forming a stable cabinet while balancing Ishin's policy demands and public unease over revisionist rhetoric. Markets have already reacted to the coalition outcome.
The cremated remains of 22-year-old Park were returned to South Korea today, 74 days after his body was found in Kampot province, Cambodia, triggering public outrage and prompting joint autopsies. South Korea repatriated 64 nationals from scam centers and has opened investigations into suspected phishing networks and prosecutions.
74 days after he was found dead, the cremated remains of a Korean college student known by his last name Park, the victim of kidnapping in Cambodia, have returned to Seoul. The remains arrived on Tuesday morning following a 3-hour-long autopsy in Cambodia by a team which included South Korean officials the day before. According to police, the autopsy revealed that there was no damage to Park's internal organs. The exact cause of death will be determined following further tissue analysis in South Korea and a comprehensive review of the investigation results from both countries. Mr. Park entered Cambodia in July and was reportedly confined by a criminal organization there. He was found dead in a car in Kampot province with signs of torture, which prompted public outrage and led to a government-wide on-the-ground response to crimes against Koreans in Cambodia. Meanwhile, investigations into the repatriated Korean suspects from Cambodia, allegedly involved as perpetrators in phishing schemes against Koreans, are picking up speed. 64 people were already detained and transferred to Korea by the Cambodian authorities, and Korean authorities have filed for arrest warrants for 59 of them. Arrest warrants were issued for 48 of them, but they too claim they were victims of torture and forced illegal labor.
전기 지지율이 고만하기 힘들었습니다. 진짜 죽기 전까지만 맞았습니다.
The Seoul Metro Police also announced a task force comprised of 40 officers for overseas kidnapping or missing person cases. In addition, the police also formed a team to look into the activities of Cambodian group called the Prince Group in South Korea, which has been identified as a key criminal syndicate operating in both countries.
In Washington today, Donald Trump and Anthony Albanese signed a landmark agreement to channel up to $8.5 billion into mining and refining critical minerals, including rare earths, designed to reduce dependence on China amid its tightening grip on global supply chains.
We are discussing critical minerals and rare earths.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese signed a rare earths and critical minerals agreement on Monday in their first summit at the White House.
We've been working on that for quite a while. In about a year from now, we'll have so much critical mineral and rare earths that you won't know what to do with them. They'll be worth about $2.
The two leaders said part of the agreement had to do with processing of the minerals.
Part of this deal is very specific, $8.5 billion pipeline. There'll be $1 billion contributed from Australia and the United States over the next 6 months with projects that are immediately available.
The United States has been looking for access to rare earths and critical minerals around the world as China tightens control over global supply. China has the world's largest rare earths reserves, according to U.S. Geological Survey data. But Australia also has significant reserves, and the pact aims to ensure a steady supply of the minerals. The two leaders also said they would discuss the nearly $240 billion AUKUS agreement, a security partnership between the U.S., Australia, and the United Kingdom reached in 2023 under then-President Joe Biden.
Our defence and security partnership with AUKUS is so important for us, and I thank you for the support that the administration are giving.
The United States has a large trade surplus with Australia, which is among the countries with the lowest U.S. tariffs. Meanwhile, Australia's biggest trade partner is China, with exports of iron ore and coal underpinning its national budget, despite efforts by Albanese to diversify export markets.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. Two special envoys dispatched by Donald Trump, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, arrived in Israel to monitor a fragile ceasefire in Gaza and meet with Benjamin Netanyahu's government. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance is set to join efforts underscoring Washington's push to keep the truce from collapsing.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Presidential Advisor Jared Kushner arrived on Monday to monitor the shaky Gaza ceasefire they helped broker. A U.S. Embassy spokesperson confirmed the envoy's return, saying they will meet members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to keep the agreement on track. Vice President J.D. Vance is also traveling to Israel to check on how things are going, acknowledging there will be fits and starts in the peace process. The delegation's visits underscores continued U.S. pressure to prevent a collapse of President Trump's 20-point peace plan, which includes a future stabilization force in Gaza and the disarmament of Hamas. Officials say Witkoff and Kushner will head next to Cairo for talks with Egyptian and Palestinian mediators.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei rejected President Donald Trump's offer for renewed talks and dismissed U.S. claims that recent strikes destroyed Iran's nuclear capabilities, calling such assertions false. The comments follow months of high tensions after partial negotiations and reported strikes on Iranian facilities earlier this year.
The Supreme Leader of Iran on Monday rejected an offer of renewed talks from U.S. President Donald Trump and mocked the idea that American airstrikes had destroyed Tehran's nuclear capabilities. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that while Trump may boast that he had bombed Iran's nuclear industry and destroyed it, he should, quote, keep dreaming about that.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
U.S. bombers and Israeli jets attacked Iranian nuclear sites in a 12-day air war last June. On Monday, Trump said hitting Iran's nuclear facilities helped achieve a deal between Israel and Hamas.
We took out their nuclear capability, which was one of the great military maneuvers of all time. It was flawless. You saw that. Yeah. Those magnificent B-2s. I mean, that was a flawless move.
Last week, Trump told the Israeli parliament it would be great if the U.S. could negotiate a peace deal with Iran.
I'm telling you, they want to make a deal. That's all I do in my life. I make deals. I'm good at it. I've always been good at it. And I know when they want.
On Monday, Khamenei replied, quote, he says I'm a deal maker. I want to make a deal with Iran. A deal whose outcome is predetermined through arrogance is no deal. Iran will not submit under the weight of imposition and pressure. Iran had reached a deal with the U.S. and other world powers in 2015, accepting limits on its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. Trump pulled out of that agreement in his first term in office. Western powers accuse Iran of covertly trying to develop a nuclear bomb through enrichment of uranium and wanted to cease such activity. Tehran denies seeking to weaponize enrichment, saying the program has solely civilian energy purposes.
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy is set to begin a 5-year prison sentence today for illegally seeking campaign funds from Libya in 2007. Speaking to the press, Sarkozy stated he's calm and not afraid, having packed his bags ahead of incarceration at Santé prison.
On Tuesday, he will become the most high-profile inmate in France. But Nicolas Sarkozy is as defiant as ever, telling a French Sunday newspaper that he is not afraid of prison, adding that he's not asking for any special privileges. His son Louis, who's running for mayor in southern France, has called on supporters to come and show support outside his father's Paris home before he leaves for prison Tuesday morning. Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin, meanwhile, says he will be visiting Sarkozy in jail.
We are finalizing preparations to ensure that Nicolas Sarkozy's incarceration and his time in La Santé prison guarantee his complete safety.
The Santé prison has previously housed notable personalities, including former Olympique de Marseille owner Bernard Tapie, convicted of corruption, and Rwandan genocide suspect Félicien Kabuga. A 10-square-meter cell awaits Sarkozy, away from other prisoners for security reasons, with limited contact and a 1-hour walk per day.
The doors have a key in the middle and a bolt at the top and bottom that are only locked at night and make a noise you will never forget. And it's very hard to be alone with yourself. We're not used to it. No one is used to not being able to open their door.
Sarkozy was sentenced to 5 years in prison for criminal conspiracy, the third time he's been convicted of fraud-related charges. He says he plans to spend his time behind bars writing a book. However, he's also appealing his conviction, and an appeals court has 2 months.
Defence Secretary John Healey said the UK is drafting legislation to let troops shoot down unidentified drones that threaten military sites. Plans to be included in the upcoming Armed Forces Bill. The announcement follows recent drone incursions across Europe and sightings at UK airbases.
Britain is drafting new powers to allow troops to shoot down unidentified drones threatening its military bases. Defence Minister John Healey announced on Monday. Healey revealed measures in response to what is widely seen as a growing threat posed by Russia.
Each month, Ukraine suffers more drones launched in attack. And last month we saw 19 cross the Polish border. Days later we saw Russian jets violate Estonian airspace. And while at the same time Russia mounted a concerted campaign to subvert Moldovan elections. And as we speak, we're developing new legal powers to bring down unidentified drones over UK military bases.
Healey reaffirmed that the Prime Minister is willing to consider UK boots on the ground in Ukraine if necessary, a move that he estimated would cost well over £100 billion. Drones have increasingly disrupted airspace across Europe, prompting airport shutdowns and flight cancellations. Fingers have been pointed at Russia as tensions with the West have risen over its war in Ukraine. Moscow has denied involvement.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. Fans of Taylor Swift are racing to the Museum Wiesbaden in Germany after spotting a striking resemblance between the museum's early 1900s Ophelia painting by Friedrich Heiser and the opening scene of Swift's new music video for The Fate of Ophelia.
It's art imitating art. Taylor Swift's new album features a song called The Fate of Ophelia, which, from the looks of the music video, was inspired by a painting that hangs in a museum in Germany. That piece by Friedrich Heiser is now the most popular attraction at the museum, according to the director. Yes, Swifties are in the museum. Just last weekend, several hundred Swifties were here, and I find it absolutely wonderful that they approach the art with great respect and maintain a good distance. And when there are several of them, they naturally form a line so that each person can have a moment with the artwork. The painting is believed to date back to around 1900 and features the death scene of Ophelia, a character in Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Farewell.
Oh, help him, you sweet heavens.
Get thee to a nunnery. Go, farewell.
Just as fans crossed the world to go to a show during the Eras tour,
We love you, Taylor!
The museum in the central city of Wiesbaden is now getting visitors from near and far. One song by Taylor Swift and this tragic character seems to have a whole new fate.
In Freeport, Maine, an 11-year-old Labrador retriever named Stella has turned autumn into joyful ritual. Every fall, she races out of her home to leap exuberantly into giant heaps of leaves in her owner's yard, a tradition filmed since she was a puppy that now inspires thousands online.
Stella the dog knows when it's fall. It's definitely her favorite season. Every year, she bolts out of the house, leaping right into a gigantic pile of leaves in the front yard. And who could blame her? It sure looks fun. Stella began her leaps of joy when she was just a puppy, racing to the leaves at her home in Freeport, Maine. She's so happy, look at her tail wagging with her head buried in the leaves. It also makes for the perfect hiding spot. That's her with just her eyes and nose camouflaged in all of that foliage. We spoke to Stella's owner, Jody Hartman.
She's just frolicking like she does, frolicking in the leaves. I don't know if it's the sound or the feeling or what it is. She came running out of the house and just launched herself into it without any prompt at all. And I was like, I have to film this.
With that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Selina Jaitilaka. We leave you tonight with the visuals of the Riyadh season dazzling to attract tourists. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.edncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on other Derana News channel. Have a good night.